Yes,
And I'm
you said
working
that.
hard on it. I'm working very hard on it. Like going
We're
to
happy to hear.
college. It's like going to college again, we always. And tonight, I don't know if I should speak. I don't know if it's okay. Yeah? Or you're waiting for the others? We are
We're
waiting.
just bringing a couple more people in, and then we're going to get started. It's already at 4 o'clock, so we're going to start. I
Okay.
actually clicked the record button because I thought we'll probably get going on. Okay, we might as well get going, everyone, because it is late enough for everyone, and I have a funny feeling this call is going to be a little bit longer than normal. So if we're going to keep on going. I have a funny feeling it's going to be more than just a single call. So we've already prepared for the fact that there's probably going to be a part 2 and potentially even a part 3, because we noticed just by the volume of questions we were getting asked how much this subject is sort of wanted and needed. And I believe that we'll have more people. We had a lot of responses, a lot of confirmations of attendance, but yet everyone knows it's recorded. So not everybody might be on the call at this time, but listening into the recording. So anyways, we'll get started. So good afternoon, good evening. If anyone, I've muted the lines that I saw coming in. Just out of respect for Kelly and Vicky and Aisha. So today we're going to talk about something that, oh my goodness, it's can be challenging and daunting for me. And I am always stunned that I think I got it. And then, nope, I missed something. So, or I hadn't thought about something. And I still don't post. I have channels, social media channels on everything. I have LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube. Kelly will tell you all about what all the different places are. We have everything. I have no idea what to do on almost everything. So we're exactly. What's that, Kelly?
I said, it's a good thing you're here today, Judy.
Yes, you can teach me lots.
Yeah, that's right.
So Kelly has joined us in Hasmark. She has been part of the book family for over a year now. You actually told me when we reached our anniversary of the time that you actually came here and we started working on the storyboard for Hi, I'm Me, which I love that it's behind you on your wall. So yeah, exactly. And we published your first book and we're working on your second book, which is pretty awesome. So you're working on a children's series. So, and what I always find is that the best people that join the Hasmark family as far as helping other authors are the ones that you watch by example. And I've seen Kelly pull off some incredible energy response to attract a really great crowd. So I asked her to come and join Hasmark, and she has recently joined us in social media. And Vicky's also doing a lot of social media for Hasmark, and so is Aisha, because it takes a lot. It's, what did they say? It's something about a village. Well, I found a village to help me, because trust me, I can't do social media all by myself. I just can't. So I'm here today to learn as much as you guys do. So I'm going to hand the virtual mic over to Kelly. And again, it's an interactive call. Please ask your questions. There's a chat window most of you guys know, so you're welcome. There's also, I think in the reactions, you can raise your hand if you have a question. We don't mind being interrupted with questions. We in fact encourage interaction during the call. So with that said, I'm handing the virtual mic over to Kelly.
Well, thank you so much, Judy. It's an honor to be here and go over kind of social media 101 with everybody. And there are kind of 3 main topics that I wanted to talk about today, or I guess 3 main points that I want to talk about. The first is the first 5 key points to navigating social media and really kind of getting your feet wet and just running with social media. And then I wanted to kind of go into platforms itself. And there are quite a few platforms. And then I wanted to take away, as the third section, one of the main questions that we have, and how to make social media not take over your life. So those are kind of the three main areas that I wanted to chat about. And again, please just jump in if you have your questions. I will probably answer a lot of your questions throughout this too, but we can definitely drill down on the questions that you've asked as well. And Vicky and Aisha are going to jump in as well. So starting with the 5 key points in navigating social media, I wanted to talk about, the first one is deciding what platform and how many are right for you. So initially, because we're all kind of basic here, initially I wouldn't say don't get overwhelmed with it. Pick 1 or 2 platforms and really just try and master those. And then you can move on to the other platforms. So you want to pick the platforms that are best for your genre. So if you're self-help or business, Instagram may not be the top priority for you. You might want to go with a Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a more of a business platform, where self-help and business, you might be able to create a really good profile for that. Now with children's books, you might find Instagram and Facebook are the best for you. So you definitely want to kind of learn everything about those 2 platforms and make them work for you. So that's with deciding on what platforms. And I would say, again, just start off slow. Don't feel like you have to be in everything all at once, because that can be very overwhelming, and it can just really just take up a lot of your time. Tom, I see you have a question. You're on mute.
Thank you. I turned that off before. Anyway, I have a memoir book coming out. What would be the best platforms?
The memoir books. So I would say definitely Facebook. Facebook is kind of an all-around good area to really get your message out. And you know what? Instagram is probably a good one too. Those are probably, I'm thinking, the top ones for you. I mean, you could get into Twitter as well, but Twitter is a very fast-paced platform where you have to kind of consistently post about 10 posts a day just to be seen. But I would say start with Facebook, absolutely. And then Instagram would be good too, because you can gain your audience through your friends and family, and then start growing and building an audience. And they know you most, so they're going to want to read about your memoir and go from there.
Okay, great. I should back up a second, just say hello, everybody.
Hey, Tom.
Hello.
Kelly, to go on Facebook, and maybe this is it, and I want to add on to what Tom asked, and you might be answering this later, but is he going on his personal page? And I asked this right now specifically because he said memoir.
I actually do address this in a little bit, but I'm super happy to answer it now. I would always suggest a business page, even though it's a memoir, it's a personal book. You do want to create this as a business. And also there's a couple of reasons why. You want to create it as a business because, hey, you're selling books. So that is your business. But you want to leverage your personal page with your business page to get more likes, more shares, more comments, more interaction within your platforms. So I would definitely, for everyone, always suggest a business page and a personal page, because what you will do is you will share from your business page to your personal page, and then you've got one share going, and then all of a sudden all of your family and friends that are on your personal page will start seeing your content all about your memoir, and then they can start sharing your information, and then you start getting a broader audience. So in the beginning, your business page probably won't be as dynamic as your personal pages. You probably won't have as many followers or friends. So that's why you want to leverage your personal page. And then later on, I get into a little bit of algorithms and stuff, so I'll explain why that's more important then. But I would definitely suggest everyone have a business page, because you can leverage your personal page with it. All good? Okay, so, oh, sorry, go ahead, Tom.
I have another question.
Yeah.
This might be jumping way ahead, but I have to ask questions when they come up, or they're going to go away. As you build an audience in social media, at some point when you have a massive following, how do you respond to everybody individually? Can you? Do you have to look at it a whole other way? Do you have to create, another way of dealing with it? Because once you create this, I'm just assuming, once you create this following, if somebody interacts with you and you don't get back to them because you're too busy or you just haven't got to it, what's the fallout of that?
Well, the kind of simplest answer, when you get a massive following and you're too busy, that's when you hire someone. That's when you hire a virtual assistant or someone to help you interact with all of the people. Because the rule of thumb is whoever is commenting or interacting with your social media pages, you definitely want to have a personal connection with them and try and respond to everyone. So when you do become viral, and it's almost impossible to like everyone, I would suggest hiring someone, a virtual assistant, to kind of help you out with that. I mean, getting to that, you might also want to set aside a specific time period and maybe an hour or two every once in a while just to be able to respond to people as well.
And what is your thoughts on what is the range of time that has comfort level in it? Is it up 3 days or is it a week? People are expecting a response.
That's a really good question. I tend to respond within 3 days. That's kind of what I feel comfortable. I think it's up to you, but if I can't respond within probably that day, I don't want to push it past 3.
Okay, and I'll just ask this question because it's an extension of my last question. At what point do you think, as far as a following number of people, do you want to consider? Or well, I guess it'll just tell itself to you when you can't keep up after every 3 days. What do you think that number is?
You know what? That number is it's actually kind of a personal thing, because you can have millions and millions of followers, but they may not be engaging with you at all. So I would say, even if you have a small group of followers, it's the personal connections that you have with each of them. Like if you post and you kind of say, I have a sale going on of my book, you could have millions of people, but they might just pass it by. It's that small connection or that group of people that you have that might all purchase a book. So I don't know if it's necessarily, I don't know if you should kind of necessarily worry about having millions of followers or hundreds of thousands of followers. It's the people that follow you. It's your core audience. Those are the ones that you really want to get. I mean, my page, I had a whole lot of followers, and then I noticed that they were all family and friends, and then they were other people that I'd kind of brought in, and I started to notice that my numbers were dropping. But that was okay, because I was kind of weeding out the people that weren't my core audience. So I don't know if it's a matter of having a large group of following. I think it's more who your actual fans are.
It's the quality of the people,
Mm-hmm.
not the quantity.
Yes.
I've worked with people that have hundreds of thousands of people in their network, and they're very ineffective. And yet some of them could have tens of thousands and they're incredibly effective. Yeah, it's quality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Tom, for all those questions. Those were amazing. So the second kind of thing I wanted to talk about is posting. So I want to talk about a little bit of a posting strategy, and it has something to do with creating a schedule or a calendar. Now I'm going to speak about that a little bit more later, but this is kind of where you want to decide how many times per week you want to post, what kind of posts and templates you want to create for yourself. Now you want to kind of predetermine all of this beforehand, because you want to be consistent with this. You don't want to post 7 days in a row and then almost drop off for a month or so. You will have to kind of create something, a schedule for yourself that is consistent and something that you can actually adhere to on a day-to-day basis, because what you're trying to do through these posts is create your audience, is build your brand, and become trusting to your viewers. So if they know that you're a consistent poster for 3 days a week, and then all of a sudden you disappear, you're going to kind of lose that audience a tiny bit. So you just really want to create that schedule for yourself and just really stick to it. You also want to really post with intention. Don't just post to post. So you don't want to just grab a quote from here or there or a meme that doesn't really make sense to your brand or your book. You really want to think about what is your core message and how you're going to distribute it. You could be funny, you could be educational, you could be anything you want, but you just really want to be true to your brand. So you want to create the posts that mean something and posts that really kind of showcase your book. You also kind of want to post with authenticity, and that sometimes means being vulnerable. Now it's up to you to decide how vulnerable you want to get, but they do, people can read at you and really see what your posts are like, and they can see a true self to all of your posts. And that is something that you really kind of want to be true to. You try and I think when I think about authenticity, I think, how do you interact with your friends? Like, how do you interact with your family? Those stories that you tell them, the way you tell those stories, that's kind of how you figure out how your authentic self is and how you should portray yourself within social media, because people will probably see that and very much gravitate to you when you're being very authentic. So that's kind of important. And then once you become consistent with this, your audience is going to start recognizing you and trusting you and want to keep coming back to your pages and your channels just to see what you're going to post, or if you're going to come out with a new book, or if your dog did something different today, or things like that. So it doesn't just have to necessarily be about your book or your business, but you can incorporate, like, dogs are wonderful, so everyone loves dogs. You can incorporate your dog or your family if you so choose. But all of this and being consistent definitely gains trust for your audience. They actually say statistics are 67% of people have more engagement with your posts if you post images, and if you post personal images like dogs and family, that's even greater. So 67% is more a visual look, more so than just reading. Also to posting is a big section. You want to create a call to action. So with every post, I mean, it doesn't have to be every single post, but most posts you want to create a call to action. And these call to actions can be things like, I would be so grateful if you shared my post. So you've written your comment, and then at the very end, I would be so grateful if you shared my post. And now that's a really good one for when you are launching your book, because you want everybody to share your post. You want everyone in the world to know that you're launching a book, because it's super exciting that you're doing this, but everybody needs to know. You also, so after you've launched your book and everyone's starting to read it, you can ask people, hey, if you really like my book, I would really appreciate you writing a comment on Amazon. So doing a review on Amazon. So you just ask people what you want, or even so much as, I was at the beach today. What's your favorite place to go to? Like, even just a comment, something to get people to engage in your post, engage in your site. I took my dog to the dog groomer today, so I could post a picture of him groomed and say, don't you think he looks cute? So that's kind of like a call to action. You just always want to do something that pulls your audience in and really engages them in conversation. And then you can definitely respond back and forth to them. And then when you're asking people to do something, you definitely want to be sincere. You don't want to just kind of blurt out, follow me or do this. You really want to be sincere and authentic when you're doing things like that. Judy, Vicky, any thoughts on that kind of posting schedule?
More of an example, and I posted today about what books are you reading, just for Hasmark, and it got lots of comments today. So just asking little questions like that, you're engaging your audience to chat with you, and it's almost like having a virtual conversation with them. So the other comment that you made, and I didn't have a chance to jump in, I love the comment that you made about the authenticity and speak as if you were when you're speaking with family and friends. I thought that was just absolutely bang on. It was brilliant. I know it's difficult for all of us. It's that vulnerable, I can never pronounce that, vulnerable element, but we all have to kind of get there, right? And you can probably speak to that yourself as an author about how difficult it can be, but how also wonderful it is at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I absolutely agree with being authentic, because and to be vulnerable, yeah, but in a, like, not so much, you're not going to tell somebody, you're not going to go onto Facebook and say, well, the next door neighbor's dog is barking and it's driving me crazy. You're not going to be that kind of vulnerable, but they need to see that you're a human being. Like, one of the biggest things that Danielle teaches about branding is it's the feeling you give people. So when they see a part of your life or a part of you as a human being show up, that's when the relationship happens. So in fact, I one of the things I've noticed on our Facebook page was when we actually announced Aisha came and joined the team, that post went off the charts for a reaction. We had hundreds and hundreds of people who saw it. And yet the very next day we could have posted something about, well, we're doing something different. We're having a live on social media or something like that. And it has a tenth of the reaction. But see, they met Aisha. She's a human being. I get to meet her. I get to know who she is. I want to welcome her aboard. We even doing the bestseller. One of the other things that's really great is, sorry, Aisha, I saw you on mute. Did you want to add to that?
No, I think it's just like, it's helpful if you share the post about you. So say we're posting about Roslyn. If Roslyn shares it with her network and someone in her network shares it, I think that's like how you'd really grow. So we can post about it, but I think really like engagement comes from all of you like interacting.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm always being asked that. If I'm going to post about one of our authors, can I tag them?
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to get engagement too, because now they're aware of it if they respond. How does that happen? Here's a great question. I told you I'm going to learn more than you guys on the phone, I'm sure. So if I tagged you, Kelly, in a post, so we were talking about Hi, I'm Me, and I tag you
Yes.
on say Hasmark's public page, what happens with that? Where does that go, or who gets to see it?
So when you tag someone, or if you tag me, it's a direct link to me. So I will see it immediately that you have tagged me. So I'll be like, oh, yay, Judy tagged me in this post. So I can start sharing that with my friends and audience that I've been tagged to Hasmark, and then it brings it back to your site as well. So it's basically creating a direct link between us. And I do talk about tagging and hashtags in a little bit as well. So we can kind of go over how many tags you can actually do per post, how many hashtags you're allowed to do per post, things like that. But yeah, it's a direct link, and it's actually, and I talk about this later, but I'll mention it now because it's actually really good. If you tag, like say you want to be in a local bookstore, tag the bookstore, tag people that you want to get noticed, tag businesses. So you see all these big influencers that are doing posts about things they bought at Walmart, for example. They tag Walmart, so Walmart knows that they've done it. And then Walmart's audience can also start seeing how they're interacting with your brand, what you're doing, and then they start to see that your page as well.
But if I tag somebody, so I've tagged you, you're the only one who sees it, or your network sees it also?
It's actually said that the network sees it. So my friends can see it as well, but it's also a great opportunity because sometimes we don't see every post. So if you've tagged me, it's a great opportunity to share that as well. So share that Hasmark has just posted my template. So it is said that your friends and family and your audience can see that tag, but it's a better opportunity for me to start sharing, go onto your site of Hasmark and start sharing that onto my page, my business page, my personal page, any platform that I have.
So, okay, so the best form of social media marketing in that respect then is I've tagged you, so you're already on my page. Now some of your feeds seeing it.
Yes.
But it's even better if you go in, repost, or share from my post.
Yes, and comment on it and really do everything you can to make that post outstanding. And then for those of you that don't know what tagging is, it's actually on the post template, you go in, say Facebook or Instagram, and you click on the picture and it prompts kind of an address bar, and then you start putting who you want to tag. So it's their handle is what they call it. So the @ symbol, and that's say Walmart or Hasmark International. So that's how you specifically tag people, if that helps.
Do you, I'm probably making you jump ahead of the game. I want to tag you. What happens if we aren't friends or you're not part of that group?
You can still tag me. You just have to type in the address into the tag search bar.
So as soon as I start to type in Kelly, I'm going to look for your specific name, just like Walmart could be walmart.com, could be different than Canada, stuff like that.
Right. And it'll be their specific handle. So for Instagram, their handle, I mean, Walmart probably the exact same, all platform. But if like us, we're a little bit smaller, we may not have the same handle. Like for Instagram, my handle is @confidently_Chloe. And for Facebook, I'm @confidentlychloe. So it depends on what platform you're on, it will pull up that actual address. But if we're not friends, you can just type in the actual address, and that's how you tag. And you can tag up, I'll get into that in a little bit, but there's a certain amount of people that you can tag. I believe Facebook is 50 tags and Instagram is 30.
Wow.
So you can,
I've been taught
I have to just double check, but I believe that's
I've been told over the years that is one of the best forms of growing.
And I have to say to all of us, we should be tagging Hasmark, because you're like our
into Hasmark's network.
So if you give us permission, we would all we should all be tagging you, and then it goes on your feed, it'll be on our feed, and then all of your followers will start seeing our posts and things like that. So it's a really good way to start broadening your network and your following. And it's actually going into, I mentioned a little bit about branding and templates. So I'll just kind of, if that's okay, I'll just kind of segue into that. When you are doing your posts and when you can create your tagging, you always want to keep it very consistent. So we're probably pulling colors from our book. So that's kind of how you're creating your brand. So within that, you want to keep consistent with your color story. And I know Danielle talks a lot about color story. So if you're working with Danielle, she's probably pulled out quite a few colors that are from your book and that match your brand. So when you are posting, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, you want to make your templates consistent. Now that includes, let's say you're using blue and green. You want to create blue and green within all of your templates. It doesn't have to be just blue and green. You can incorporate whites and yellows and things like that, but you want to make sure that you have your core colors consistent for each post. Now that just allows your audience to trust you a little bit more, recognize your brand a little bit more, and kind of follow you along. And then when it pops up on their feed, they'll be like, oh, that's really great. I see Tom's post. So that's wonderful. And then if you don't want to necessarily do specific templates, on Instagram and Facebook, they have filters. So if you're going to create a filter, you'd want to be consistent with that filter kind of over and over again, because they have like a blue hue or a pink hue, and it really streamlines your look, especially for Instagram. So you create this consistent brand where your audience members will start trusting you a little bit more. Also, to include with templates, you always want to include your logo. So within your template, you want to have your logo usually in the same spot, because then it creates consistency as well. You also want to always include your social media handles, which is your address. So, and I usually put mine at the very bottom, just because the logo is usually at the top, the handles are usually at the bottom, just because that is consistent for me. And I know that it will always visually look that way for every post. Now you could, and I was saying my Instagram handle is @confidently_Chloe. Facebook is @confidentlychloe. So you can always adjust per template, but if they do know one Instagram handle or what, it'll translate to both. You also want to, you just want to also keep your templates specific to what you want to post. Like if you want to create a template, you can also put a meme in that, or you can create quotes, stories, pictures of your family with a quote beside it. So you want to create a multiple amount of templates to use, so it just doesn't look the same over and over again. You wanted a variety. So when you do look at your Instagram feed, you see this nice flow of templates that all kind of work together. And if you have kind of don't know where to start with that, or have a bit of a problem getting started with that, Hasmark is definitely there to help you with that too. So just inquire, and then we can help you get started with templates and branding, that sort of thing. Also, to go into where to start for social media, if you don't know who your target audience is or how to engage them, or what hashtags to even use, and we'll talk about hashtags a little bit later, it's always best to kind of find who you admire on Instagram and Facebook, find out who you follow, and then just emulate them. Learn from them, and that's a great place to start. So if you don't know what hashtags are relevant to your brand, copy what their hashtags are. You always want to include in your templates or in your comments your hashtag. So if whatever your business name is, your actual name, and anything that's specific to your brand, you want to include your hashtag within the group of hashtags. But if you don't know additional, like there's millions of hashtags that can be specifically about children's books, specifically about memoirs, self-help. You want to zone in on those specific hashtags so people can find you more specifically. And if you don't know what to use, follow somebody else. See what hashtags I use as a children's book author. See what hashtags Hasmark uses, and just really copy that. And if you do like someone, let's say Bob Proctor or something like that, if you do like the way his layout is of templates, do something very similar to that, and just go. There's a saying called fake it till you make it, and then just do that. And once you become more comfortable with creating posts and things like that, then you can kind of start finding your own, and just go from there. But I definitely suggest follow people and just really copy them, because that will really give you the confidence to move forward and then start creating your own platform and brand. Any thoughts on that, Vicky or Judy?
I know there's options like Canva where you can create some very simple graphics, and they have some good how-tos as well. So that's an option as well for someone who hasn't got a clue where to start. Canva's a great one to go through, and they have lots of templates. So you can go through and find, well, I have blue in my color palette. Here's everything that's in blue, and you can search by themes. So you can sort of grab, and a lot of it's free. You can have a paid subscription, but there's a free option too. And that's an easy way to just create some very, very simple templates.
Yeah, perfect. And then the last kind of section of the 5 steps is just getting noticed. So we're all kind of new to social media. We're all kind of trying to figure out how to grow our audience. Kind of Tom asked that question earlier, but in the initial stages, you want to enlist the help of your friends and family. So they are your greatest audience in the beginning. They can promote you, they will be happy to do it, and they can share your stuff and go from there. So definitely connecting with your family and friends to say, hey, do you mind sharing my post? Do you mind interacting with everything I wrote? Because they're the ones who can get it out into the world. They're the ones who can help create algorithms. So the more interaction that you have within each post, the platform recognizes you as an authority in that topic, and the algorithm will start making your posts be seen to a greater number of people. So within your feed, you can just be seen, but all of a sudden people start liking your posts, giving hearts, commenting, sharing, and all of a sudden this algorithm's like, hey, there's something going on here. Let's start focusing on this person. Let's start focusing on this business, this platform. And then your post will start being seen to a broader audience. So you definitely want to get people to share it. Now, within the Hasmark family, there are so many people that are in the same genre as you. And I very much, actually, Judy and I encourage you to really kind of pick up on or kind of group together with one or two other authors, I mean more if you want, and really start kind of a sharing group. And this way, if let's say I shared something and someone in my group, in a children's author, really liked what I shared or wrote, or sorry, excuse me, what I posted, then they would share my post. And then if they posted, I would share theirs, I would comment, I would like, and that is how you'll get your audience bigger as well, and how the algorithm will start picking you up as a dominant force in that area. So I definitely encourage sharing groups. So find one or two authors or more and really just start partnering with them and then getting things going with that.
I've never thought of that. That's a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, so it really kind of makes you explode when you're in it, because it's all about the algorithms. It's all about being seen, and we want our books to be seen. We want people to know who we are. So it's about working with others. Mm-hmm.
And that's what our private group is about, is how our authors can connect with each other and help support each other as well. So
yeah, that's how you can find others. There's also on our website is the books, and they're all segregated by category. So if you're not sure who else is, and you ever need us to introduce you to other authors, we'd be happy to. I'd be more than happy to. We're trying to encourage all our authors to be either on the Hasmark public page or the private page. Public is where you can share. Private is talking about ideas and things. You know, you first connect in the private, then you go beyond that and start the sharing. One of the other things we learned the other day too is it's not just about getting the comments on the post. It's about you as the author of the post also commenting back. They actually said that the algorithms, I forget what the percentage is, but it's quite high, that it increases your outreach by so much more when you reply to a comment on a post that you put out there. And it was like, wow, I didn't realize we had to comment on a comment we were given. So there's all these little secrets, tricks that you get to learn to do that's just going to build that spider web.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there was just one other thing, and this was a comment too. It was about sharing in groups. And this is kind of more of a, actually it's a Facebook kind of comment, but also LinkedIn does groups and things as well. But on your Facebook platform, you want to become a member of groups within Facebook. There was a question, a really good question about, do you share in groups or do you create your own group? I would say in the beginning, initially, when you're really starting to learn, become a member of, it doesn't have to be a lot. You can pick 1 or 2, 10 groups if you'd like, and just really become engaged in that group. I would suggest there is rules to most of the groups, and a lot of them are not promoting groups. So you can't just go and promote your book, but you can really engage in that group. And then once you're kind of familiar, you comment and ask questions, really be part of that group. You can ask the admin if you can share your post, or, hey, I'm launching a book. Do you mind if I share that I'm launching my book? It's really part of this group. It's part of what we're talking about. And more often than not, they say yes. So that's a great way to do it. There's also promoting author groups that you can join in Facebook. And how you find them is you go into your Facebook search bar and type in almost anything, and you'll see a whole list of different groups there are. I'm part of children's authors groups. I'm part of authors groups, and everything. I'm part of promoting authors groups, where every day is a different promotion, and they'll actually prompt questions like, have you gotten a new blog post today that you want to share? Did you do something different? Do you have a book that you want to promote? So they'll actually prompt you questions, and you just go for it. And then there's even groups where they're saying, I'm doing a live reading. Would anyone like to be part of this? So you can actually submit your book to them. They'll do something on YouTube or Instagram, and they'll promote your books. Most of them are free. Some of them are not, but those are different ways to do it. But I definitely encourage sharing and becoming part of groups. It's a great way when you're brand new to get out to a huge audience, because some groups are 2,500 people. Some groups have thousands and thousands of people, and that's definitely a great way to get known and start building your audience.
I found too that even communities, I went on to ours, there's a lot of business communities. Vicky's laughing because I think
We just did the same thing. I just found one called Authors Promoting Authors and threw it in the chat. But yeah, there's tons out there.
Yeah, there's so many. And you know what? You don't just have to stick to authors. What is your book about? Become a part of self-help groups, business groups, children's groups, memoir groups. It's the sky's the limit, honestly. And then I will touch on when to start a page or when to start a group. I would say when you're really familiar with Facebook or whatever group or platform you want to share on, you have to be very engaged when you do start a group, because you want to prompt questions all the time. You want to be the moderator of that page. And having your own group is definitely a way to keep all eyes on you. And that's wonderful because you want to promote yourself. You want to sell your books, but there is a lot of work. So I would say initially just being part of other groups, learning how the admin are navigating how to create that group, how to share in that group, how to just do that group properly, then I would say start creating your own group. I just wanted to touch on, there was a question from Rosalind about what are some of the author hashtags that you should use. And I was going to go into this a little bit with the next section of platforms, but I'm happy to do it now. So when you're creating hashtags for yourself, whether it be Instagram or Facebook, I know that even LinkedIn and Twitter, you can use hashtags as well. You want to find posts that are more, you'll be able to be seen a lot easier. So if you are posting under hashtags that have, gosh, a million plus people, the chance or the average of you being seen, your post being seen, is not very great. So you want to stick to finding hashtags that are about 500,000 people or less. So one of the top hashtags that I had seen was author life. So author life had 1.3 million people that post to that hashtag, but authors with an S at the end of authors, so authors life has 452,000 people who post to that. So you have a greater chance of being seen under author's life hashtag than you would under author life. So some of the other ones are hashtag author community that has 169,000 people that post to it. So you have a greater chance of being seen. Hashtag authors of Insta, that's a really good one. Hashtag children's authors, there's 17,000 people that post to that. So if you're doing an ebook, hashtag ebook Amazon, they have 21,000 people that post to that. So a better chance for you to be seen. Hashtag Kindle books, hashtag Amazon books, and hashtag Amazon books for kids. Those are all some really good, I'd say, author hashtags. Now, those aren't just the hashtags you should be using. You should be using ones that are more specific to your genre and what your message is. But for speaking about author posts, those are kind of the top ones that I found.
Where did you go to find how many people are assigned to that hashtag?
All right, Rosalind. So I went to
great question.
I go on and I use my phone mostly, actually. So when you're into Instagram, you just go under the search bar and you put hashtag, and then you can type author life, and it'll pull up a whole variety of different hashtags, and it actually tells you how many people are posting to that hashtag. So that's how I was able to determine author's life is a better hashtag to use than author life. And you can do that for everything, every post that you can, every hashtag that you can think of, like hashtag children's books. It'll show you all the different hashtags that are already being used under that.
And you can also follow those hashtags as well. I follow a few in different Instagram accounts, and so you can, if there's a particular hashtag that you really like, maybe that fits within your genre, it's a good idea to follow that, because then you'll see in your Instagram feed what other people are posting. So you don't have to keep going and searching for it. It will actually show up in your feed with all the other accounts that you follow.
If I might add as well, another important thing is to create your own. So
yes.
have your name or your book title as a hashtag and then consistently use that. So if somebody sees a post with your hashtag, so let's say Rosalind Rice or Power of One or Tom Herstad, and they click that, then they will see all of the other posts by you that have been using that hashtag. So it's a great way for somebody to funnel back to all of your posts as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sorry to interrupt.
Actually, that's a good point, Jenna, though. That's like getting onto the top of Google ranking. It's the same thing. The hashtag becomes the search for you. So if the more you're using common things like over and over and over again, the higher up the Amazon ranking, the search you're going to end up being. Think of it as Google when you create hashtags, right, Cal?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the algorithm that I was kind of speaking to. So the algorithm kind of bumps you up on the Google ranking. So you're seen first. And that's kind of what we're all going for.
It's funny because it's hilarious to actually think about it, because you don't want to be using a hashtag that's really, really popular, because think about it, you're going to get lost.
Yes.
So you kind of got to find that almost that mid-range where it's not too popular, but it's popular enough it's going to help gain you with some attention.
Absolutely.
So
I think Danielle had said that on those really like million plus, you have about 5 seconds for your post to be shown. If you're anything slower than that, you'll be so far down in the pack, you'll be missed unless somebody sits and goes through everything and scrolls through. So that's kind of mind-boggling. 5 seconds to be seen.
yeah. It is mind-blowing, actually. Yeah, absolutely. There's Tom.
Yes.
So how do I set up a hashtag Tom Herstad so it comes back to, it will come back to my website? Is that it?
So
Automatically, or do I have to do something special to set that up?
no, well, what you would have to do, actually, you just start using it, to be honest with you. So under your post, when you're creating your comments and your initial post to go out into the world, you just put hashtag Tom Herstad, and that is you creating your hashtag. It's as easy as that. And just being consistent with it, always using it on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere you're posting, just make sure you consistently use it. And then you can even see it. So if you go into that search bar in Instagram, you'll see hashtag Tom Herstad. It'll say like 2 posts or under, I think it usually says under 100. So that's as easy as creating a post specific to your brand.
So if I was doing a post for me individually or personally, as an author, maybe hashtag Tom Herstad, but if I'm doing a post specific to information that relates to my book, hashtag Second Line West, that it would go, it would allow me to have kind of 2 presence. Oh, we got
Absolutely.
a cat in the way here.
Yeah. Jenna knows all
Siberian
about
cat
that.
named Norman.
He wants to be part of the call.
Yeah.
He's going to play with the dog. Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Yes. So my question, is would that allow me to establish kind of a personal hashtag Tom Herstad and then hashtag Second Line West, which is specific to the book as far as kind of topics that would relate to either or?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd want to use them both, because when people are Google or searching you, they can also type into that search bar hashtag Tom Herstad, and it'll go directly to you. So they'll just click on that and they'll see you. So the more specific hashtags for your personal brand or your business that you have, the better off it is, because as your name gets known, they'll be starting to search you specifically and they'll be using those hashtags. So they may not know that you have a hashtag Tom Herstad, but if they type in your name, it'll pull you up in their search. So it's a positive thing to do.
And Tom, I would even recommend doing Second Line West, the movie, and then Second Line West, the book, because you'll need to distinguish between the two at some point, right?
Right. Yes.
So, and then if you are doing a post that's specific to one or the other, you can use those specific posts, hashtags, sorry.
Okay. Good to know.
And here's the big question. What's the difference between, because here's where I get confused. I get the hashtag, but now how does that differ from his handle? So does he use He doesn't use a handle in that. He only uses a hashtag when he's posting.
Well, he's posting a hashtag on his handle. So your
Wonder
handle
why I
is-
asked that question.
your handle is your address, basically. So you're posting from your Twitter handle or your Instagram handle. So your address is kind of what you're posting from. The hashtags are how people can find you. Although they can find you, they could type in @Tom Herstead. And if you have that created on Instagram as your address, people can find you that way too.
How is that not confusing as heck? I mean, my goodness, especially if you first come to social media.
Yeah,
It's like,
well, when
I
you're-
get it, but I'm sitting here and I saw his name, hashtag Tom Herstead, and I thought, well, if you do the, tag him in it, it's like, okay, I've got a handle for him. How is that? So that's what I was doing.
So the easiest way to understand when you're creating handles, so when you start on the platform, so let's say you're creating your bio and your profile on Facebook, you're brand new to it and you just started creating your address that you're creating. So like @ConfidentlyChloe, that's my handle. So as you're creating your bio and your platform, you
Your
are
identity.
your handle. Yeah,
That's your identity, right?
that's your identity.
Yeah.
Almost think of it as your email address, I guess.
Absolutely, yes. Mhm.
Yeah, that's your identity on social media. And then the way to find you a lot of times, like you said, you could still use that as a search, but the hashtag is what belongs on there. Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, got it.
Whatever hashtag you're using, if you're using your name, other people can use it too to post about you. So if someone posted about your book and they put like the hashtag like Tom Herstead, when you click on it, you'll see all like not just your post, but everyone else who's using it too. So like it's sort of like
That's true too.
Absolutely.
Because if
I would
if I enter his handle, I only find him and his posts. If I enter the hashtag, I find everybody who's ever posted with that.
Yeah.
So it could be his neighbor, it could be a fellow author. Yes, great. That actually helps a lot, Aisha. That helps to explain that.
I would describe it as categorizing content, if that makes sense. So if they look up authors of children's books, that will come up as a hashtag for authors of children's books, and it'll come up with anybody that's hashtagged that. So if you begin to create that hashtag as Tom Herstead or Tom Herstead author, and other people begin to use that, that content will all be categorized under that hashtag as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Rosalind had a question. She said, what if our social media handle isn't our name? Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. That's fine. Yeah. And then you can use your name as a sharing tool, as a benefit to that. So you can share your professional or your business name or handle and to your personal, and then you're creating a buzz around that too. So definitely that's fine. Because I have my personal Kelly Vurinaris, and then I have Confidently Chloe. So and I use them interchangeably, and I'm constantly going back and forth with them, and they're not merged together, but they could almost be, because whatever I post to my business Confidently Chloe, I immediately share to my personal brand. So because I've built up my Facebook for, gosh, I think 12 or 15 years now, and so I have a lot more audience members and people that follow me on my personal brand, because they're all friends and family and not necessarily my audience for my children's book. But once they see that on my personal brand, then it opens up a whole new group of people to see.
So when you post, are you doing hashtag Kelly?
No, I'm doing hashtag confidently_Chloe.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So I thought we could go into the different platforms now, if that's okay.
I'm okay with it. And again, I kind of thought we would end up being a little longer because I see we're 5 to the hour. We're going to stick with it. I know some people may end up having to drop off. It is recorded. And afterwards we will get this up and on the coffee chat page. So whoever isn't able to stay with us, we're, we appreciate you being here, but I'd like you to continue because I'm learning. I probably learned more on this coffee chat call than any other. And I've been doing social media for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So yes, please.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to go into all the different platforms, and please jump in as well, Vicky, Aisha, Jenna, anyone who wants to, about the different platforms if I've missed something or forgot to talk about something. But I'm going to go with Facebook first, although I do want to just mention, and I did kind of discuss this earlier, whatever platform you are enlisting in, just when you first enroll in it, there's a series of questions to create your bio and your profile. I really urge you to fill it out in its entirety, because that's how people are going to learn about you. That's how your audience members are going to start knowing what you're about, whether you're about kindness or like just whatever you put in your bio. That's how people are going to know. There is strategic things to creating a bio, which we will not get into today, but you can strategically do your bio to make sure that it is seen a little bit better. But I definitely suggest filling it out in its entirety. I mean, there is sections like your address or your phone number. If you don't want people to know your address and phone number, please do not fill that out. Don't feel obligated to have that. But things about you and what you're doing, definitely that you're an author. If you're an international best-selling author, definitely put that in. And if you are, after you've created your bio, you can go back in and edit it to put that in there. That is a huge milestone, and you definitely want that to be part of your brand, of your story, and of your bio. So to go into Facebook, there are quite a few different levels to Facebook. So what we all know is posting. That's our live feed that you see from people over and over again. It's the thing that you can scroll through on your phone or your computer and just see what people are posting, their templates, their quotes, memes, anything that they're sharing. You can also post recorded video to this. So that is a great platform to just put a little something together with your phone, post it later, and then people can see it over and over again. There's something called Facebook Live. Hasmark is great at Facebook Live. They do Fearless Friday, and that's great to kind of just talk about what's going on in your life. This amazing book you have coming out soon, a second book you have coming out soon, things like you just want to kind of go through. It's also great to speak in real time. So if you want to do a question and answer period about your book, what's happening, that's great for that. Sharing exciting news like a book launch, so amazing. You want to definitely kind of do that. You can also read a chapter of your book or read quotes from your book to get engagement pre-launch. So people are getting excited about what you're going to start selling, what you're going to show them, that they can go to Amazon on this specific day, and they already have a glimpse as to what maybe your illustrations look like, because you can kind of talk and hold, and you can do some really great things with Facebook Live. Now, Facebook Stories is another aspect of Facebook, and you'll see it on your phone or the top reel, and it's usually just a whole bunch of people with their pictures and stuff. So Facebook Stories, they only last 24 hours. So if you post something to a Facebook story, it will expire after 24 hours and you cannot see it anymore. It's also a great platform to just share about your dog, what they did today, really kind of get people excited about your personal story. But it's also a great place to share a book contest or a campaign that you're launching, or some place that you want to kind of promote your book to, because it's there for 24 hours. If you have a pre-sale or pre-order, throw that up on Insta story, or sorry, Facebook Stories as well. And that's a really good platform for that. There's also Facebook ads. Now that's a whole world unto itself, and you can promote yourself and be seen by a wider audience if you do Facebook ads. I'm not going to talk a lot about ads because that's kind of getting into more of a social media 102 or 3, but that option is there. And if you do decide to do ads, Facebook prompts you with a lot of great questions about who your target audience is, how many people you want to try and reach per day. So it's a great tool, but I suggest kind of going through the other platforms first to get your feet wet, because then you can decide what post you want to use in that ad. So once you start learning your audience, then you kind of have a better idea of what you want to target them with through ads. So with Facebook, all of the things that I just kind of discussed, you can do all of them at the same time, or you can just stick with stories. You can just stick with the live feed, whatever you feel comfortable. Don't feel like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just kind of step back and say, I think I'm just going to stick with the live feed. And then once I get comfortable posting that on a consistent basis, I'm going to start putting stories into the mix. And then I'll start doing Facebook Lives. Now, sometimes Facebook Lives are the hardest part to do because not everybody likes to be live on camera. So that's kind of the biggest obstacle to get through. I also want to touch on using hashtags in Facebook. So we were talking about it before. It turns your hashtag into a clickable link. So it'll pull up everything within that hashtag. And normally your content will show up first or within the top 3, because Facebook hashtags aren't as oftenly used as Instagram, but they're definitely a major contender. So you definitely want to use hashtags within Facebook because your content will come up. They say for Facebook, the amount of hashtags to use on average is about 11 per post. They say that's kind of the magic number for hashtags in Facebook. So I definitely encourage using Facebook. Now, when I talk about scheduling, there is a way to kind of group Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and post only once to all of these platforms. So you will use your hashtags that you've used in Instagram, and it'll spread out through all the other platforms. Now, tagging creates a link to your profile. So when you are tagging somebody, so Judy in Hasmark tagged my Confidently Chloe, she is creating a link to my profile. So I will see it immediately and I can send it out, and also other viewers will see it. So that's really good. You can tag up to 50 people in Facebook. So you can start tagging everyone, any business you want to be a part of. Barnes and Noble, we're already that, but you're part of that. So you can tag Barnes and Noble, your local bookstore, a library, a school, any business that you want to kind of be a part of. You can start tagging, and definitely tagging friends and business partners or your sharing partners. Always good. I did touch on this a little bit, but Facebook business versus personal, you always want a business page because you have a business. Your book is a business. You want to run it as a business. You want to run it separately because that is what you are creating. That is your business. And like I said, you can leverage your personal page within that. I'm not going to kind of get into more because we did talk about that. So any other comments on Facebook?
Also, I think everyone could tag similar authors that they know would support them, just to engage like their network. So say you're in the self-help genre and you know someone, maybe you could tag them because your books might be similar or your target audience might be similar. So I think that could be like good for engagement.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to Instagram now. So Instagram, there is quite, just like Facebook, quite a variety of things that you can do within it. So you have your basic feed again. So that's, you're posting your pictures, your branded templates, your quotes, your memes, even a quick video, things like that. You want to make sure you're always hashtagging and getting your tags in for your Instagram things. There's also Insta stories, which is very similar to Facebook stories. So that's the reel up top. And again, it does expire after 24 hours. So for here, it's more of an interactive, quick type of sharing. So you can share a fun, quick moment in your life, a quick moment of your dog's life, anything, a quick caption of your book cover, or if you've done a reading or a live interview, you can just put a caption up on there and say, I've done this interview, and then tag the person that you've interviewed and comment on that. So there's some really great ways to do a quick engagement through Insta stories. There is something new called Insta Reels, and that's only been released within the last year. And Insta Reels, they've created to be a direct competitor of TikTok. If you know TikTok, it is taking the world by storm. It's a quick 15-second video where people are going crazy. They do a little dance, they do a little promotion, the world is going crazy for TikTok. So Instagram has created Insta Reels to really be a competitor for that. And then you find that when you go into, so if you're about to on your phone go into and post something on Instagram, you'll see a drop down menu of what area you want to post. And so whether it be Reels, stories, the regular feed, and then you can go into an Insta Live, which is very similar to Facebook Live. So you can do all the same things that you were going to do with Facebook and really kind of do live questions and comments and really engage with your audience through live feed. Now, the last part of Instagram, which a lot of people talk about, is the IGTV. And that is very similar to YouTube, sorry. So you can create pre-recorded branded video and post it to your IGTV. So that's a great way for you to do how-tos, demonstrations, book tours, what you and all of the things that you're creating with your book. So you could do a virtual book tour and post it on your IGTV. So those are all some really great things that you can do with IGTV. Sorry, excuse me, my eyes are watering. Also with Instagram, you are allowed to do tagging and hashtags as well. So for Instagram, it's 30 hashtags per post. So with hashtags, it does seem a little overwhelming when you're doing your posts. You have your comment, what you're writing about your initial post with your template. And then you have, if you see on Instagram, they have like a little bit of space and then a bunch of hashtags. You might find that 30 hashtags is very overwhelming to you. So you don't want to include 30 hashtags. You may not have 30 hashtags that you want to use. You can use up to 30, but a rule of thumb, and a lot of people really like doing this, is you can do about 10 hashtags in your initial post. Once you post live to Instagram, you want to be the first one to comment with additional hashtags. And that also will get more engagement on it. The algorithm will notice that you have a comment. And so people will start interacting more because your post will be seen a little bit more. So don't feel overwhelmed if you think 30 hashtags in your initial post is kind of a lot, because it does look like a lot. So you can go back in and be the first person to comment and continue your hashtags up to 30. So there's also tagging. Tagging is the exact same as Facebook. You do it the exact same way, but you are allowed 15 tags per post on Instagram. Any questions on Twitter? Or sorry, any questions on Instagram?
Okay, you're constantly, I'm sitting here, I got to keep laughing because I am seriously learning a lot. And I thought we've talked 100 times. In these kind of calls, you can only take in, I forget how much of your brain can take in, and that's what keeps happening. Every time we talk, I learn something else from you, Danielle, Aisha, Vicky. I had no idea about IGTV.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty awesome. We're doing YouTube, but I didn't know about IGTV. So we got to get our butts over there.
I think we can post the Fearless Friday lives on there.
Absolutely.
IGTV is for the longer videos.
But we can't post our Fearless Friday from a private group. And I'm talking about it with everybody because that's a difference between the Hasmark publishing page and the Hasmark private group. Private group cannot be shared anywhere else.
Makes sense.
Just so anyone knows, if they ever decide to create a group, we do it so that conversations can happen that aren't shared with the world. We could be telling you to go create a service or how to, build something, or we share our coffee chats, especially the legal calls. We cannot share the legal coffee chat calls with the public because we could be in a lot of trouble. So we'll go into our private group and share those. Our Fearless Friday, we bring people in so that they can learn how to do live. But we'd be ecstatic to have Fearless Friday on the public one and then go all over. And we do a lot of the videos with the authors too, right? The marketing authors all get 3-minute videos, interview videos. Some people are talented like Maria, who does videos just on her own. She just goes out there and gets them done. So we'd be happy to share them. Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, talk about engagement and just getting out there. That's great. Okay, I'm gonna move on to Twitter. So the next few, it's
Sorry,
not.
can I make a comment? Sorry, I think with IGTV, those are videos that are over a minute long. I don't think you mentioned that, right?
I did not mention that. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could post a video directly in your feed. As long as it's under 59 seconds, it will stay within your feed. But once it goes over a minute, Instagram actually automatically turns it into an IGTV.
Oh,
And so what happens is when somebody's in their Instagram feed and they're watching a video, once it goes over that minute, it pops over to IGTV. So that's something just to...
Thank you, Vicky. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want people to sort of potentially leave your feed and go over to IGTV, keep your videos under a minute.
Excellent point. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move on to Twitter. So the next three I'm just going to talk about are quite quick. So Twitter is a posting site where you can bring readers back to your website. It's a very good platform to post like a little blurb on a blog post that you've just done, something that's happening within your brand. And because you're only allowed 140 characters within Twitter, but you can also have you can include linked sites to it. So it can always bring you back to your website. And that's a great platform to just put a link into Twitter and have it come back to you. So there was a question about kind of how to best sell your book through social media. Twitter is really great because you can bring them back directly. Like with Instagram, you generally have to say your website is in the bio, because that's where you generally put your website linked, is in the bio. So that's where people have to search the bio, go into your website, and then go back. But Twitter is a great spot to have. You just put a little caption of your blog or whatever it is that you're posting, and then have them convert back into your website for sales and things like that. So Twitter is really great for that. However, Twitter is very fast paced. They say that you should post an average of 10 times per day just to be seen on Twitter. So if you are able to do that commitment and post, and I mean, you can even pre-post and create a posting schedule where it just does it automatically for you when you get to that level. But Twitter is a big commitment. And if you're not consistent with your posting, you can get kind of swept away and not really seen. Twitter, most people get their news from Twitter because it's an ever-changing, fast-paced feed. So that's kind of what I'm going to say about Twitter. LinkedIn is more of the professional platform, and LinkedIn is great for self-help, business type books, things like that. So you want to kind of see where your genre is and if LinkedIn is a good one for you. This is where you share your careers, your milestones, great things. And your book is actually a fantastic milestone in your career. So you definitely want to have a LinkedIn profile, whether you are engaged in it a lot initially. It may not be quite your focus. However, if you are not a business genre or a self-help genre and you are a children's author, don't discount LinkedIn either, because you can get some great interaction through it. I mean, I posted that I launched my book and I had quite a great engagement. I even actually was asked to be part of an educational platform where my book would be promoted within hospitals and schools in the US. So don't discount any sort of platform. Just get to it when you're ready. And don't feel like because LinkedIn is a business platform that me as a children's book author may not fit in. You absolutely will. And LinkedIn also has groups too. So I'm a member of children's authors groups, and then we can share posts and do different interactions and create chats within LinkedIn as well. So it's also, you can post feeds similar to Facebook within LinkedIn as well. So it's a great platform to get to. And then the last one I'm just going to talk about is YouTube. And I think we all really know YouTube. It's where you post your videos. It's a great place to post interviews that you've been a part of, or just reading a chapter of your book, or reading your entire book, or doing a Q&A, doing an author bio on YouTube. And you can definitely have, you can start your own channel and get subscribers. And that's a lot of work, and it's very involved too. So just when you're starting to figure out what platform you want to be on, or what few platforms you want to be in, kind of think about where you're at in social media. What's the best platform that will serve your brand, and go from there, and then start building on and introducing other platforms when you feel more comfortable to do so. Any questions on different platforms? I mean, like, there's other platforms like TikTok and Snapchat, Reddit and Tumblr, but we're not going to get into that. Those aren't widely used. So I just kind of focused on the main ones for today.
Aren't widely used by authors.
Reddit and Tumblr are. They're very popular with authors, but that's a whole, I mean, you can end up down a huge rabbit hole in Reddit. Which is why I don't use it. But yeah, and Snapchat's really for the young kids.
They do, although they say TikTok is as well, but not all young
No,
kids use TikTok anymore.
That's everybody's kind of jumped on that one. But
Yeah.
Snapchat really is more about for the younger kids. So
Snapchat I wouldn't really recommend, as it's more of personal, just messaging. But TikTok I've heard a lot about. There's this hashtag actually called book talk that a lot of authors have started to use, and it's definitely not for the beginner social media person to begin using, because it's so much to it in terms of creating that content. But I think that it shouldn't be overlooked at all. And then I did want to mention with Twitter as well, I've noticed in the past, like, it is very conversational. So that, just like you said with engagement, it's really important that you're replying to others and interacting to get that interaction in those posts elevated as well.
Wow, an incredible amount of content. I think if everyone's any like me, it's like, whoa. I find it absolutely incredible. Honestly, we're never not learning.
Yeah, and you know what, with social media, it's a revolving, like, learning tool. It changes so quickly. You could know everything, and then all of a sudden they've thrown in something else into Instagram, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm right back at square one and I have to learn again. Or they've come up with a completely different platform and you're thinking, oh, that would be really good for me. But it's a constant learning, social media. So don't feel discouraged. It can be very overwhelming, but I don't feel discouraged, because we're all been in the same spot. We're all can be in the same spot again. And it's just all about learning and taking in what you can, learning by example, learning from fellow authors, and just kind of going from there. I wanted to just talk about the last thing about how social media doesn't take over your life, or how to not let it take over your life. And there are some really great tools and things that you can use that can be your friend in social media. I suggest definitely creating a calendar, or a monthly schedule at the beginning of every month, setting aside an hour or so just to create a schedule and figure out what you're going to do for the month. So within each month, we have holidays, we have different events, you have national days like National Pink Shirt Day or National Banana Bread Day. So there is a national day for anything under the sun, and you can tie it into your book or your brand. So definitely create a calendar, mark out what days are what, and then you want to post to those things. Now that's when you want to decide how many platforms you want to be a part of, what days you want to be a part of. So if you want to be a part of Monday, you're going to have to think of, do I want to be hashtag motivation Monday? If it's Tuesday, hashtag tips Tuesday, and then post authentically to those platforms, and then kind of move from there. Now, what I do, so I don't let it run my life, is I take a day a month and I will create all my content for the amount of posts that I want to do. And then once I've created all my content, I will use, and actually Vicky mentioned it, there's apps like Canva or PicMonkey that you can actually create your template specific to your brand that you want to post. And then Hasmark actually can help you with this too. If you feel a little bit stuck and you don't know where to start with templates and how to create your brand, Hasmark can definitely help you with that. So reach out to Judy if you want any help. But from there, after you've created your templates, once you download them into your personal files, you can use other apps like, I know Vicky likes Hootsuite, I like later.com, and these are pre-planning tools for your month. And you can upload all of your content. You can literally schedule to the minute that you want your post to be posted on. So let's say I want my post scheduled on Monday at 12:01 a.m. I can literally schedule it for that time. I can write my caption, I can write my hashtags, and then I don't have to worry about it at all for the rest of the month. The only thing that I want to make sure of is once my posts go live, I mean, if I posted at 12:01, I won't go check on it right away. I'll wait till like 11 or so in the afternoon, but I will want to go see who has engaged in my posts, and I want to be interactive. Also with Instagram, if I've posted it live, I want to make sure that I'm back in there making my comments for my additional hashtags. So literally you can schedule your entire month so it doesn't take over your life, and then spend about a half an hour a day just interacting with each post and following up with hashtags. And that is kind of how I do my social media, and I still have time to help my daughter with online school and do all of my other things in a day. So that is a definite way to have freedom with social media.
And now you've come on board to help our authors
Yes.
with their social media too. So just what you said, for those that do need us to support them. And actually you, Kelly, and I, and Jenna and I just began the conversation too, is I think what we're going to do, because we're always thinking about other things, is create programs. I think just so everyone on the call knows, we'll do a couple different things. Right now, we do have Kelly here that she can hold your hand. She can help you set up templates. So as you can see, she's absolutely mind-blowing expert in this. And I'm sure you've got lots more to learn too.
Oh, absolutely. I do take an additional hour a week actually, and go through kind of what's new, what's going on, what I can do to get better engagement. So it's constantly a learning process. I mean, I was able to share all this information today, but you know what? I'll go back on and be like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. So it's an amazing thing, and it really can take over your life, but you just don't let it.
Don't let it. Exactly. Yeah, tell me about it. I would just go on post. And it's funny, the other thing you don't realize too is you'd be surprised that people are watching you.
Yes, absolutely. You know what else? If I can share another comment. So I do a lot of Chloe. So Chloe, my character, I do a lot of posts, and I alter like what she's wearing, or certain things. Like for Valentine's Day, I added heart balloons to her hand, and like a heart t-shirt, and for Super Bowl, I added a helmet to her. And I created these all with Canva actually, but I got personal messages from some of my followers saying, do you redraw everything? And they were really asking questions about how I did it. And I was like, this is great. So you're right. Everybody is watching.
Yeah, because I remember I would be posting, and then all of a sudden I'd stopped one day and somebody was DMing, direct messaging me and saying, where'd you go? And it's like, oh, I didn't even know you were part of my network. I had no idea. But they're watching. They want to see those posts.
Yeah.
So it's phenomenal.
I mean, they become family, right? They want to know what's going on next with your book, or next with Chloe, or they want to know everything about you. They become really enthralled in what you're doing. So it's you want to be consistent, and you want to share information, and that's how you build your audience and your platforms. And it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. It's what you make of it, and you have to just be persistent and go for it.
Yeah, keep on going with it because
Mhm.
you're right. Don't give up because it's forever changing. But in many ways it's not, because I remember the discussion 10 years ago. It's like, oh, this is just going to be sort of, don't grow your network, like concentrate on your own newsletter network, not social media network.
Mhm.
Well, we're sitting here today, 10 years later, where newsletters are a thing of the past. But social media is a massive monster of communication. Like it's like Amazon. Amazon was in competition with Barnes and Noble. They left them behind years ago. They're multi-billion-dollar industry now. You know, there's nobody who competes with them. And same thing with social media. It's unbelievable how important it is to us to communicate, because it is a means to get out there and get talked about and get an opportunity to. I remember once, I got to tell this story. I remember once I was working with a social media girl about 10 years ago, and she was watching different posts for us, which was good that she did it. And she said, I could tell that Deepak Chopra was actually posting himself on his social media. She says, send him a message. And I'm like, what do I say? Like, it's Deepak Chopra. I don't know what to say to him. And she said, I'm going to do it. Can I go into your account and speak for you? Yeah, go. And she did. And he actually, it's hilarious because at that time he said, can I DM you? And I'm like, I called her up. What the heck is that? What does he want to do? I don't know what DM is. So she says, he wants to message you. So he messaged me and he writes and he says, can I call you? Yeah. Yeah. So you never know who you might connect with. And I know it's 10 years ago, but the same thing can happen today. It's like Mark Wilkinson. He's all over, you know, everything. He's only launched yesterday, but he's the model of how effective he's been in social media. I remember his first live on our Fearless Friday, and he talks about that a lot. He was sitting there and he was nervous to go in front of 80 people. He streams now across, and we'll talk about that in a following one. He streams to thousands now. In fact, his music that he does Saturday night, he has several hundred people watching him DJ. It's
All
incredible.
over the world.
All over the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I try and join it when I can. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And that's because his energy is good. I heard Marcy talking about that today on his show, which we invited her on to his show, and she was talking about energy is everywhere. And you said it earlier, energy is shockingly in your post. You think people can't feel your energy through a post? They sure can.
Mhm. Actually, Judy, I wanted to make a comment. You raised a really good point about just messaging Deepak Chopra. Definitely just get ruthless. If you want to message
Yes.
someone, like personal message, direct message, an influencer or someone you really think needs to see your book, just do it. The worst they can do is not answer. But
Yeah,
if you don't try, they won't know. Right? So
exactly.
I just go for it. I mean, I have days where I feel like I can do anything and it'll be okay. And then I have days where I'm really shy. So
Yeah.
on the days where I'm like, yeah, let's just go for it, I start sending messages to parenting people, parenting magazines. Like, I will just forward my book and my message to everyone through my media kits, things like that. And I will just go crazy. And then there's days where like, I can't possibly do this today. Yeah. So,
But
but
there's
you
no
don't know who's
better.
going to respond. Yeah.
There's no better person to market you than yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. It's Jen can talk about the stories of us catching. Like we've worked with Shirley MacLaine. I might be aging myself a little bit here. Gloria Loring, who's Robin Thicke's mom. He's actually in the People magazine I'm reading right now. We've got Willie Ames, and this is when I really am aging myself because he was from Eight is Enough. So, but the people that we've caught attention through our time, it's just what you said. I sit here today and I'm thinking, how did I pull off? Like, I am just sitting here in my home and I'm like, I got to talk to Deepak Chopra and I got to talk to TV stars, movie stars. Like, it's only because of just what you said, Kelly. It's It's like, okay, fine. If you think I'm not as nervous as heck when Deepak Chopra called me, you're dead wrong. I have no idea what the two of us said other than hi, because I was a nervous wreck. But it's still better to be out there. And social media is by far the best means to me that I've ever seen to get out there into the world today.
Yeah.
It will change your life.
Especially now that
Really
most
can.
of us can't really leave our house. It's a
Yeah.
great it's a great way to do it.
Yeah, to communicate. Exactly. Okay, I see we're already at at 5:30. Today has been absolutely incredible. I have learned so much, Kelly. Thank you. It's your time has been invaluable. She has, as I mentioned to you guys, she has joined Hasmark, which I am so grateful for. She is now doing social media for our authors. So reach out anyone. And thank you, Kelly. I have a funny feeling we're going to have another one of these calls because I know I have 100 things running through my head. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here chatting with all of you. And I hope you all got a lot of information that's useful and more to come.
yeah, today has been incredible. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and staying with us because that was a longer call, but we appreciate everyone here and especially the information you shared with us, Kelly. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Thank
I just
you.
have a question for the audience.
Sure.
Would you be interested in like part 2 of this social media call and like
good question.
know more? Because I know all this information can be very overwhelming, especially because we're talking about like so many different platforms. You're all on mute, so I can't. I see some people responding, but I'm so sorry, I can't hear you.
I think what we talked about too is Vicky's going to send a questionnaire out, a really short survey afterwards, so that we can see who else wants to jump in and join another call, so we can go on to a part 2. I love Maria's little heart there. Thank you. So, yeah, I think we'll send an email because, like you said, all the lines are on mute. So, thank you, Aisha. I love that you asked that question. There's Liz. It's so great to see you here, Liz. Anyone can unmute their line, guys. You're welcome to, no problem, as we say goodbye or good night or
Hi.
good morning.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, how are you?
It's been a while.
Thank you. Thank you again. That was very helpful.
You're very welcome.
Thank
You're
you,
very
Judy.
welcome. Thanks for joining us. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, everyone. Have an amazing evening. Take care. Bye.
Bye.